All right.
All right. Tell me about 2024.
You tell me. How many sales did we do?
How many do you think we did?
60?
We did 2024. We did 64.
64. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we had for volume?
23.
21.
Shoot. Got to up those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Which property had the most offers?
Which property had the most offers in 2024? Michelle Lane in Windsor or Holcomb Road in Chester?
Michelle Lane and Windsor had 10.
Michelle Lane in Windsor.
Yep.
So can I tell a quick story about
Yep.
Michelle Lane? So Michelle Lane in Windsor, I had sellers who I met with back in 2021. They called me up. They were ready. They were really ready to sell. Their dream number was 525. We looked at the comps, and the comps were very much between 525, 535. Maybe you could push 550. So of course, as we always do, we bring our stager in. She gave them recommendations. These sellers did every single thing that our stager recommended. They painted the entire interior. They had a really beautiful Fiji blue color, which was very special to them, but it's not going to appeal to many home buyers. And so they painted. We changed out all the light fixtures with all nice, modern, all cost-effective enhancements. The end result, the highest comp that we had, I believe, was for 560. It was for a bigger house with an in-ground pool, an extra bay garage. So it would have been, tough to, I thought, achieve that 560 number. So when I first met with them, we talked about listing at 499 with all their improvements. We said, you know what, let's list this at 525. In the end, we had 10 offers and we sold for
577.
No, we sold for 605.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong column. We
Jeez.
did. We sold for 605. I was looking, actually, so
I was waiting for the punchline.
That was the pre-list Zestimate, and we beat it by 7%.
That's another key statistic that Angela just pointed out, is that we also keep track of when sellers first call us to come meet with us if they want to sell their house. We grab a screenshot of your Zestimate, and we are actually tracking what percentage over your pre-list Zestimate we are selling your home for. And what I mean by pre-list Zestimate is that we don't want to grab the Zestimate when we list, because Zillow magically changes your Zestimated value to right around what we're listing it for. So we grab it from before. So 7% over their Zestimate. And the next highest comp that we had was for 570, and we ended up selling this for 605. The clients waived inspections. They also waived their appraisal. So we didn't have to worry about a thing from accepted offer until closing. My sellers just got to sit back, pack their boxes, and get their family to their next home, which was really exciting.
That was a good one. Which property do you think we received an offer the fastest for?
I don't know.
We have plenty of properties that we received offers 24 hours from listing, but we have one property that we received an offer the same day that we listed.
I have no idea which one.
21 Greaves.
21 Greaves Road. Yes, I forgot about Greaves. That was another good one.
It was a really good one.
How did the buyers, did we do any coming soon marketing? We did. We didn't.
I don't think we did. I think those buyers were looking in that neighborhood and submitted an offer sight unseen.
Yeah. And they ended up not getting the house.
No, they did not.
So a lot of times I think that, I know we have a lot of success with our buyers, putting the pressure on listing agents to get them to accept our offers and kind of giving that like FOMO, like, hey, if you don't take our offer, you're going to really be wishing you did next week. And however, I don't really fall for the same thing on the listing side. So those buyers tried to kind of put that pressure on us, but we stuck with our plan of waiting it through the open house and all of our private showings, and we ended up getting stronger offers.
What was your highest sale price in Massachusetts?
I know this one, 1.7. Very excited about that one.
Yes.
Can I tell the story about that property?
Yes. Okay. I'll hold my follow-up questions.
What was your follow-up question?
What was your highest sale price in Connecticut?
1.1?
Yes. Meadowwoods.
Meadowwood.
Yeah.
So I would say start by the 1.7, which we found out was actually the highest sale in all of Hampden County for 2024. So good work to our entire team, because that certainly was a group effort to accomplish that. This particular property was, of course, the most gorgeous property that any of us have ever been inside to tour. And even though this property was, a Pequot built home and it had all the bells and whistles, it had a movie theater, it had a good night pool, it had a basketball court, buyers still cannot see past a 20-year-old kitchen, a 20-year-old bathroom. And that's what these sellers were up against. They were on the market for a full year with another real estate agent, and they were not getting any offers, and they couldn't understand why. And the same that we say for lower priced homes, where buyers don't want to go into a property and have to refresh everything. The same goes for luxury listings. And I would say even more so, it's more important at the luxury listing price point to have these buyers feeling more confident in the product that they're buying for $1.7 million, to feel like they can go in and not have to do any work work to it. And so these sellers, they hired us. Again, we got to work. We brought our stager in. From the time that we had our staging appointment to the time where all the work was completed, it was about 3 to 4 weeks. So we got our stager in. She went through the house. She made suggestions on painting kitchen cabinets, painting the master bathroom, updating light fixtures. Once again, these sellers took every little bit of advice. But one thing that these sellers said to me was, Kelsey, not only did you tell us that the house needed to be updated, you gave us the resources to know what needed to be updated, what color should be picked, what light fixtures should be picked, and we provided the contractor to do the work at a very, very good price, which is one of the benefits of working with the Kelsey Thompson team is our resources. And so from start to finish, it was less than $20,000 of repairs. And instead of a buyer now walking into this beautiful luxury property saying, oh, I've got to gut the kitchen, I've got to gut the master bathroom, and they start tallying dollar signs in their mind, they walked in and said, oh my God, this is beautiful. I don't have to do a thing. So you can see the dramatic difference in this property from what it looked like before to what it looks like today. And we ended up getting multiple offers on this property. And I spent some time with these buyers at the home inspection of the home, where they had been looking for a few years for properties at this price point. And every house they went into, they felt like they had to do a ton of work to it. And they said, kudos to you and your seller for giving us the vision to know that this is a house we can move right into. So it was a win-win for everybody involved in that transaction.
Guess what the pre-list estimate was?
What was it?
Guess.
I don't know.
1.3.
1.3?
Yeah.
What's that percentage over?
28% over.
28%. We sold that one for, 3 Hilltop Park in Wilbraham, Mass. sold for $1.7 million with 2 offers. We closed in less than 60 days.
Yep.
Took us 4 weeks to get the house ready for the market, and it sold for
28%.
28% over its pre-list estimate. Job well done, if I don't say so myself.
Yes, we'll take some credit on that. Do you want to talk about the Meadows?
Maria's.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Meadows, what about the Meadows?
Well, so we ended our Meadows sale being the highest sale in the entire complex, and condos are very in demand right now.
Yes. Yeah, so that was a property that I think the highest comp that we had was 325. And with, again, so we tell everybody we have a 5P system, and it's preparation, presentation, price, promotion, and pending. And each one of those categories, we have a list of tasks that we complete to help get our sellers the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of risk, which is what most sellers want. And in this case, our client ended up selling for $375. So it was $50,000 over the next highest sale in that entire condominium community in Enfield, Connecticut.
Do you want to make some guesses? How many offers did we get for that one?
8.
6.
But
when did we get our first one?
24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours.
24 hours.
That was high demand.
What is our average days to offer?
Average days to offer right now is 4.6.
4.6.
And that's actually down from 9.2 in 2024.
Yeah, I would say, I think a big reason for that is we've refined our system, not much, but just to make sure we're putting a lot of emphasis on social media marketing and also a coming soon campaign to build up the hype. And I would say that the importance of doing a coming soon campaign and making sure that buyers and realtors are aware of the property before it comes on the market is that there are some buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines for 2 years and they're still actively looking, but it's like, I would say passively looking. But if the right home comes on the market, and we see this with our buyers, well, they'll text us and say, Kelsey, this is our absolute dream home, but we have a house to sell. We're not pre-approved yet, but this house is what led us to actually calling you to say, hey, maybe we should have a conversation. What we're doing with our sellers is we're giving buyers just like that ample time to make phone calls to their lender to see if they need to sell their house or to get their house on the market. So that way, when we do start conducting private showings or open houses on our listings, these buyers have had a week of notice to make these phone calls to get their ducks in a row so that by the time they come in and see your home, they can write an offer right away.
Yeah.
So again, a benefit to not only our sellers, but also our buyer or to the buyers in the market that we give them ample notice.
What was the oldest house you sold?
I know this one. It was in Chester, Mass.
Yep.
And it was older than our country.
Yes.
Which was how we marketed it.
Yes, we did. 40 Holcomb Road in Chester. That one also, do you want to guess how many offers?
10?
8. I do
Oh,
actually,
man.
I think we did
That's
get
it?
10, but 2 of them didn't come with pre-approvals or something, so we didn't ever really like add
Should
them.
I go down the rabbit hole of making sure that you submit pre-approvals with yours?
Everything.
Yeah,
Need it.
agents submit pre-approvals with your offers. Very, very important.
Yes. And
also buyers, if you're watching this, ask your agent to show you the offer submission, right? You want to see that your offer was submitted as a complete package and not just kind of pen and napkin type of offer. So
what was your favorite one? Do you have a favorite? Do you ever have a favorite?
No, my favorite transactions usually have to do with the clients that we work with. And there's a few clients coming to mind right now that, especially given the tough year I had personally in 2024, that they just really helped me to get through some tough days. So I wouldn't say it's not a favorite sale. It's always about the clients and the relationships we make in the process. It sounds cliche, but it's true.
Who was your favorite director of operations for 2024?
Where's Dante? Just kidding.
What would you say where is a market or an area in our area that is really, really hot that we just cannot find enough properties? And
the multifamily market, the single family market.
We have 500 people looking for multifamilies right now.
Well, right now our team is, I don't want to use the word struggling because it's a good problem to have, but we have a lot of clients who we are actively representing, and sometimes it's not even a matter of getting their offer accepted. It's just being able to get them into houses. And there's such low inventory right now that it's very difficult to even have homes to show them, let alone give them advice as to how to get their offer accepted. What's working really well for our team right now is just being super aggressive about finding off-market inventory. And so I'll give you the example. We have clients that were looking for a 55 plus community. They knew exactly which community they wanted to be in. We sent about 200 letters out to these homeowners. I used my kids to help address the envelopes because if somebody's opening a letter that's addressed from a child, they're more likely to open that letter rather than typing out the envelope. And so we had one person respond back that they were just getting ready to list their house. They gave us the opportunity to show our buyers, and we were able to put a deal together. So again, it created a win-win-win for all the parties involved in this. And one other thing I will say is that agents have to be really aggressive. So last week we got another buyer's offer accepted on a multifamily, which is a super hot market, and they were not going to be showing the house. I think it was listed on a Monday, and they weren't going to be doing showings until Thursday with an open house on Saturday. And we submitted the offer sight unseen. We knew what the market would support because of our experience writing offers and representing sellers in multifamily. So we wrote a really strong offer, and the listing agent was impressed. They showed us the property, and we were able to put a deal together. And I will say that agent called me last night. And I always get really nervous when a listing agent calls me, like something bad has happened. So when he said, "Kelsey, call me when you get a chance," I thought, oh, shoot.
It burned down.
Yeah, something happened. Because never anything positive. And in this case, he just called to say, I just want to tell you so that you can tell your buyer that he's got a great team representing him, that you guys put in the offer when you did. Because let me tell you, he said, some of the offers I received sight unseen, he said, your client would have never, ever had a chance to get their offer accepted on this house if you didn't submit your offer when you did. So I think this is a skills-based market. There's a lot less inventory. There's a lot less home sales. And so it's important to make sure you have a team representing you who can be a little bit of a shark.
Do you by any chance know which property from 2024 had the most showings?
Stamford, Connecticut. How many private showings did that one have? 43 private
That
was another
showings.
Condo in Stamford, Connecticut. I also think we beat the record in that condo community for highest sale price.
Yeah, that's possible. We were 23% over the Zestimate, and we received 8 offers. Our first one was within 48 hours.
Yeah, that was another fun one.
That was busy. That was a busy time.
Don't let anybody tell you that the market has softened because of interest rates, because if anything that this video can do is to tell you that is very much not the case.
Yeah.
What was our listing that we had last year that had the most days on market? Let's talk about
most days on market. Okay, so most days on market last year actually started in 2023. It was 217 Porter, and that ended up being on market 63 days.
63
days to offer.
Yeah, that was. I kind of sometimes every year we might have what I call like a problem child listing. And that one had a lot of things working against it. It was a double yellow line road.
Right on that corner.
Right on the corner. Street gets backed up. It had leased solar panels. Solar panels, that's a conversation for another day, but selling we have sold plenty of homes that have leased solar panels, and we've sold plenty of homes that have solar panels that are owned. It's definitely easier to sell them when they're owned because that is just, the buyer sees that as just a direct benefit. Either way, it's very important to
get on it early.
Reach early
out to the company and get all of the documents early.
And make sure that we have an analysis. That was the word I was looking for. An analysis of like showing the buyer where the cost savings is, because if they're not seeing it, or if their parents aren't seeing it, because in the case of 217 Porter Road, we had a young buyer ready to give an offer and dad got involved and they ended up not writing an offer. I love when that happens.
We ended up doing a lot of social media education on solar around that time too, because I think it was the solar panels.
Yeah.
I think that really you had to do a lot of education. So that was our longest days to offer. Our next longest days to offer, 27 days, 89 Nottingham.
That was another home that sat on the market. I think they tried it as a for sale by owner, but I think the misconception is nowadays you can pay for a licensed realtor to do what's called an entry only listing, where you pay them a flat fee, you're not paying commissions, and they just will put your home on the MLS. You give them the photos, you give them the write-up, and you get that exposure to the MLS. So let me tell you, that's a great benefit, but it's not everything. We've sold many houses where the client had tried to sell for sale by owner. We have one going on next week where, they tried to do an MLS entry only deal and it didn't sell. And so that's just one very small piece of the puzzle to try to get your home sold. And so it sat on the market. And I think that, sometimes people have a price in mind that they truly believe that their home is worth. And there are countless times that I don't take listings because if we are so far off in price, it's not worth myself and my team's resources, time, and money to start marketing a property that's just never going to sell for that price. In this case, we weren't in agreement about price. We were close though. So, I was willing to work with them and said, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's start at your price. And if in 2 weeks we don't get any offers, we're going to drop it right down to my price. And that's what we did. And when we ended up doing the price reduction, sure enough, the property ended up selling very quickly.
Yeah. And I don't blame them for thinking that was the price because their estimate was incredibly inflated.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. The estimate was almost $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these estimates, they can be off by as much as 25% that we're seeing just with our own inventory. So just keep that in mind. It could be off 25% under market value or over.
Yes.
Lastly, so we really amped up our social media marketing in 2024, which I think had some good success for some of our listings.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Share brain. Go ahead. Finish my sentence.
Oh, shoot. Which property got the most views?
Had to be either Hilltop, Meadowood, or Charlestown, Boston.
Charlestown.
It was Charlestown.
Yep. Yeah. Well over 6,000 views just on the video.
That was organic, not paid.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So over 6,000 organic views. I think majority of those were just within the first week of listing. So again, this all comes back to building up that hype before you actually on the market. And social media is the number one place where our home buyers are contacting us and seeing where your homes are being listed. So
how quickly did we get an offer on that one?
Right away, I think.
It was actually day 5. They saw it twice before putting in their offer.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll just use that property as an example for a very popular question we get asked is, well, we want to get our house listed and under contract because we want to know how much money we're going to make off of that house when we go shopping for our next house. How long is a buyer willing to give us so that we can go and shop for a new house? And that answer is, if you are doing all the things right by starting with hiring our team, pricing it right, promoting it well, you're going to hold all the cards as a seller. You are going to be able to decide when you want your closing date to be, as long as it's within reason. You cannot request a year out, but 3 to 6 months is nothing unreasonable. And in this case, we actually negotiated was it a rent back or just a use and occupancy?
I think it was a use and occupancy.
So we negotiated where we closed on the house and rent free. My sellers were living in their home. They no longer own it. They have their cash in their bank, and then they use that to go buy their next house. So you can get really creative, and you have to get creative when we're in a market like this and kind of start pulling all the tools out of the shed. So I think that was a good recap of our 2024.
Yeah, it was a fun year.
It was a fun year. So If anybody has any questions, if any of these stories resonate with you, or if, with any goals that you're looking to achieve in real estate for 2025, we would absolutely love the opportunity to chat with you. We have a lot of experience and
data,
leverage and data that we can work with, and we would love to get you into the house of your dreams and to also sell your house for maximum value with the least amount of headaches, with our team leading you every step of the way. So to get in touch with us, you can call the number on the screen, which is
413-206-6411.
413-206-6411, or email Kelsey at kelseythompsonteam.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a good week.